So welcome back to another episode of The Engine Room, where I'm delighted to be joined today by Ashleigh Boyce from Igus, and she's actually come all the way down to meet us here in Canterbury. So thanks very much for that. Let's dive in. So if you can first just talk to us about how did you get to your role and what's been your journey into this marketing manager role at Igus?
Yeah. So originally, obviously, the dream was never to be in the engineering manufacturing world. I started off studying here in Canterbury, which is why the journey was easy for me.
Yeah.
And did some modules that were kind of digital, bit marketing-y, did an internship in PR and thought, okay, I want to go the marketing route. But again, I started off marketing in a school, so I was a marketing assistant. Quickly realised that wasn't really for me. And then there was a job opportunity at Igus, which is in Northampton where I lived. And just kind of went for it. The job title was for search engine optimizer and content creator. So I had a lot of content creation experience. I dabbled in SEO, but not massively, but I thought I'll just go. And then obviously before applying, quickly tried to learn what is Igus and manufacturing and all these parts, and luckily got the job and did about a month's training in Germany first, and then it kind of was just gone from there. So I started there about 5 years ago. We were quite a small team then, we're a lot bigger now, and fell into it really. Just went for the job, and now I love it. So
Amazing.
yeah.
It is so common though when I talk to people that are in marketing firstly, but then specifically obviously marketing and manufacturing, that that wasn't their plan. And even like marketers as a whole just seem to accidentally become marketers. It's quite quite strange phenomenon, but it seems to be more and more common. So talk to us about Igus then. What does Igus do for those that don't know?
Yeah, so Igus are a polymer manufacturer, so we make polymer parts. That ranges from bearings, energy chains, cables, more recently robotics and automation, and then we've expanded into an RBTX platform as well. And we work with every industry, so from medical, automotive, offshore oil and gas. I mean, if it moves, we'll be in there somewhere. And then obviously we are polymer parts, so we use polymer materials instead of maybe traditional metal and things like that.
Yeah, no, it's pretty cool. I've had the pleasure of coming up to see the place, so I can vouch for how cool it is there to work. We'll touch on some of that a little bit later, actually, because I want to talk to you about your special Iguverse, which was a very cool experience. But yeah, like the marketing team, you said it's grown. So just talk to us about that. Like, what does that setup look like for you guys?
So when I started, there was 3, maybe 4 people. We now have quite a few externals, telemarketers and things like that. And then the core marketing department is 8 people.
Okay.
And because of how Igus is, we have 2 divisions. So we have our ECS side and our BRG side. So ECS is everything energy chains, cables, and then BRG is our linear systems, bearings, robots, things like that. So it's really hard to find people that know everything about all of them and every industry they fit in. So we kind of have an interesting dynamic where we have 2 people in the team that are called shop owners, and they look after each division, the customer journey online and things like that. And then we have someone that looks after SEO, Google Ads, things like that. We're a full girl team, so there's 8 of us all together. Wow. Not intentional, just the right people for the job. But yeah, so it's a good team. We work kind of on a campaign basis. So who looks after graphic design, who looks after SEO, content, social media. We all work together on kind of a sprint campaign basis.
Yeah.
So we're constantly speaking to each other, constantly involved.
Yeah, pretty cool. I mean, that's quite a large marketing team, which is, not that common in manufacturing. So why do you think Igus have invested so heavily into that team, and kind of like what stakeholders do you have? Like, who are you talking to they obviously value marketing, but what are they looking for in kind of judgments? What's your metrics?
So I think when I started, that's when Igus really started investing in marketing, and they wanted to expand and grow more. Because we're in so many industries and we have hundreds of thousands of different parts, I think Igus has identified you need a good team to really know, okay, this bearing, this chain works in that industry, so we need to target it that way. But
Yeah.
it also works in all of them as well, and we need to write things a little bit differently, and still have that B2C experience whilst being B2B.
Yeah.
So we liaise with everyone from the directors, we have product managers, industry specialists, so we have to be in touch with them constantly. And there was a massive drive, I think, to get digital, which is where I think a lot of manufacturing companies are trying to go.
Yeah.
And growing the online web shop and platform, online tools, everything like that. We needed more marketing support to help sales, assist them with getting people online, explaining how online works, tracking it, getting it, up in the ranks. And there's constantly innovations, and we needed more of a team to back that up.
Yeah, no, incredible, because that isn't that common, and often there's kind of maybe some old school thinking as to what marketing is and how does it function, and most manufacturers invest more heavily in sales.
Yeah.
And they kind of just think, well, we'll just get more people and we'll make more sales. But actually, that, as you said, the digitization and bringing in CRMs, bringing in marketing automation is kind of definitely now trickling faster than ever into this sector.
Yeah.
And people are seeing the benefits. I think consumer behaviour is changing, and as you rightly said, B2B, yes, but actually we're still humans, and people operate in ways that they want to operate, and not that they don't want to be forced to kind of have to deal with travelling sales people necessarily. It's great to have those relationships, but certainly doesn't make as much sense to be having people travelling all over the country when they might want to just check something out online at 7 p.m.
Literally. And I think you are still just speaking to a purchaser, a sales engineer. You're still speaking to one person, even though you're selling B2B, and you've got to sell them on the brand before the whole company is. So
definitely. Yeah. So marketing in general can be quite tricky. I think in this sector, maybe you'll agree, even trickier. So what do you think have been your kind of biggest challenges, kind of like moving from where you were in education, but like manufacturing, and you've been there now, as you say, 5 years, like what have you learned? What's been those biggest challenges?
I think it's learning that there's so much to it, and there's so many parts to it, and understanding that not only have I got to have a great product to promote, I've got to win over every part of the journey. So from the moment you place the order, there's so much post-marketing to do, there's so much pre-marketing to do. It touches not only the purchaser, but the person that receives the goods, the person that processes it, the engineer that needs to know it's a good part. So you have to somehow reach all these different people. It's not just, these jeans are great and they're great for you, buy them. It's so many different targets that you have to hit. And I think that's been our biggest challenge, is trying to understand the customer journey of each individual. Within manufacturing, it's not just that one person you've got to impress. And that's been a challenge, but I think having a bigger team and having people look at different aspects of it has helped, and speaking and working closely with sales to try and understand, okay, who do you speak to? If it's this industry, is it more likely the purchaser? Is it more likely an engineer? And then we can try and target it, because it's not just one person you've got to sell it on. So
multiple stakeholders, which is really interesting, because I think that analogy there of like jeans, you're either going to buy them or they're going to fit you or not, you like them or not. But that kind of, as we see with clients, it's multiple touch points. You need advocates in the business, particularly if it's an expensive part or it's a change in what the business is used to, and somebody's bringing something new. It's like, okay, you've got to get all these people on board, and fundamentally someone's going to make the end decision. That could be the FD, it could be the MD, it could be the product manager, and you just don't know that at the outset, and you've got to kind of identify that through, I guess, tracking and user behaviour and understanding what is and isn't working. But also, you mentioned that you work really closely with your sales team. So, I mean, how often do you speak to your sales team?
So at Igus, there's weekly sales calls every Friday. We always make sure that marketing are in there presenting what we've done that week. I think that was a massive shift that we wanted to have when we grew the marketing department, is we are one team, we are the same, we're trying to get leads for you. And then after you've sold, we're trying to increase, our relationship with that customer. So we're constantly involved with calls. They sit just behind us now as well, so we can just spin a chair and we can talk to them. Teams, group chats, all the digital things.
Yeah.
But we try and educate the sales from our side of, look, you've got all these tools, you've got all of this to use, training constantly, and also listening to them, because as much as I can look at analytics and say, this is working, you speak to them every single day.
Yeah.
You know realistically what they call it. Google might tell me it's this, but every person you speak to calls it this. So we try and collaborate with them as much as possible, which has improved, I think, things for us.
Do they feel the benefits of that? Do you kind of like get positive feedback in as much as they understand you're listening, you're trying to work for them to drive leads and awareness?
Well, I hope so. I hope they're happy. But yeah, from our side, we do get positive feedback. We get negative as well.
Mm-hmm.
They'll say this is wrong on the website, someone's annoyed. But we're just trying to take it all in our stride in marketing. And I think sometimes marketing can be seen as, they do social media. And it's kind of changing that and showing how much we do, and we need them as much as they need us.
And do you operate out of a CRM out of interest? Is there like a shared,
Yes.
so you can see what is happening from a sales perspective, so you get the full 360 picture?
Yeah, exactly. So if we're trying to target emails to people, we can see they've been visited recently, their most recent call, email, we know who's their direct salesperson. So we can always speak to them first before targeting people.
And I think that's critical, really. There's often sales and marketing are definitely becoming more aligned, and that's great. That's the way it should be, like one joined up thinking. But then what we find is sometimes the sales team are using a different CRM or a different piece of software, and they don't actually feed that back. So marketing will do all this great work or generate these leads, pass them to sales, and then kind of don't really hear back. Just like, oh yeah, they were okay, or we could have done with some more leads, or they weren't great quality, but they're never really clarifying what that means. So then the marketers kind of don't know how to change that, So the fact that you can see it all is, massively beneficial.
And we're constantly speaking to sales if we're at a show and obtaining leads, saying link any visit, sale that came from that conversation, that came from that lead, and then we know whether it's worth investing in a bigger stand or not going again. And without knowing their side, it's really hard for us to make decisions sometimes.
Not that you might not know this, I've just come up with it, but like kind of roughly, what do you think your split nowadays on your marketing budget is between sort of digital to physical?
I'd say the digital has grown. We're in a stage at the moment where we're reevaluating things, and we're in this trial year period because we don't want to just get rid of traditional, stop attending exhibitions or stop print, because we don't actually know what the effects of that will be. But what we are trialing is decreasing a few, increasing a few digital bits. So we're basically using 2024 as a trial before we set a specific budget for each. But we're definitely investing a lot more digitally than we were before. And like I said, yo-yoing a bit and seeing the results of changing things with the traditional.
Good old test and learn. That's what
exactly.
Classic marketers, So, obviously we talked there about some challenges, but hopefully there's been many successes as well. What's the sort of standout success for you? Is there a particular campaign that blew everybody away? Or
I think definitely the move to online changed a lot. When I started, the online presence really wasn't what it should have been, and trying to convert not only sales and Igus, but to convert our customers to go online. And we did a lot of campaigns with reduced shipping online. We did a lot of campaigns with, did you know if you order this way, you have this benefit? And it's not something we'd done before. And not only did we do it from a marketing perspective, but we informed sales. You do realise they'll save money. You do realise all their orders are saved online. And this is such a benefit to them, especially, purchasers want to reduce their spend, send them online. It's cheaper shipping. And that campaign, I think, massively swerved things. All of a sudden, there was this incentive. If you do this, you'll get this. And that's not something that we'd done. Well, maybe we did, but whilst I was there, it was the first time Igus had done something like that.
So what sort of proportion of orders do you receive now online versus, over the phone or email?
So it's about 10% of orders are online. It kind of wavers month to month, but compared to what we had before, I don't actually know, but it's going up each year. And I think that makes a massive difference. And there's some customers now that solely want to order online. They want to place the order, like you said, at 7 p.m. and not have to wait for an email back to confirm. It's an automatic. We've got your order, thank you, and they know it's done. It's easier for them.
And I presume that offers both transactional and non-transactional. So if they're like a big client of yours or customer, they can order to their account and still operate on a traditional finance model.
Yeah, exactly. So you can select on account, or you can pay card, PayPal, and then we'll transfer that all over to our systems, and it will just be there. So
really good.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I really enjoyed hearing all about this. Kind of getting towards the part where we'd like to talk about how you can share some of this wealth of knowledge with other marketers. So I guess my first question is, what are your top 3 tips for marketing people in engineering and manufacturing?
I would definitely say my top tip would be transparency. I think it's really easy to say, and I'm guilty of it, I've done it before, where you say, oh, visitors have increased by 50%, and you've gone from 3 to 6 visitors. And I think it's really easy when people don't understand marketing for you to provide a presentation, say it's all going really well, 50% up, and this and that. And I think it's harder to be really honest with yourself and say, that didn't work. And when we started saying to sales, I know you really want this campaign, but we've tried it a few times now and really it didn't work. It's quite hard to say no, I think, or even say this isn't going well. And the quicker you do it and the quicker you say, look, this isn't worth it, I think you'll see improvement rather than just kind of smudge it and blur it, which I think at the start everyone wants to do, like, oh, my email got a really good click-through rate and it was 70%. But
it is the classic, isn't it? Most marketing reports are like 97% positive. You can always find an upwards arrow somewhere if you look hard enough and like, oh, look, it's 2,000% up.
There's one little bit that you can say, but we did well there.
Another crucial part of what we like to do is share knowledge and resource. And so, are there any particular books or podcasts or websites or anything that you think has really helped you on your journey, learn and kind of, or a go-to blog that you might read to kind of get the latest industry insight?
I think I can't really pinpoint one specific, but one thing that we've started doing is going out more, because I think marketing, you get really stuck inside, and even having days with you guys when you visit us, coming here, making more effort with maybe advertisers or similar companies to you and getting to know the marketing people there, that's been probably the most beneficial thing for us, and just having conversations with marketers and seeing what they do, because you get really stuck in your ways. It's really easy to, everyone has their Macs or their computers and sits digitally all day. And I think getting to talk to marketers and building relationships, it's the best way you can do it. And they'll think of you in future and invite you, and like we're doing right now. And that wouldn't have happened if no one had connected. And I think you can not only spread awareness through that, but you can also learn from everyone else. So
I definitely agree. I mean, it's definitely something that we're pleased and proud that we do. I don't want to sit behind a computer screen all day. And I think you're right, like marketing as a whole group tends to be quite sociable in that respect, sharing knowledge. I go to many an event which is like other agencies, and in some industries they're like, what, will you actually talk to each other and tell them like what you're doing? Like, that's part and parcel of what we do. So I definitely agree with that. So we touched on it earlier, but I just wanted to talk now specifically about some of the cool things you do have done. So just talk about Iguverse and the factory tours that you're doing from where you are.
So we started it this year, kind of wanting to bring more people to our facility in Northampton, just because there's so much to see there. And like I said, there's so many parts with Igus that you might just be a cable customer and you don't realise how much that we do. And even though we have these different business units and sides, we are just one team selling all of these things. So we kind of set a goal to get a number of people to our facility. And we have obviously factory tour, everyone can walk around, you can experience our cable and connector area, our ready cable area, and crimp your own cable and do a connecting. I mean, I'm not the expert, but they do things there. Obviously walk around the whole factory, the facility. We also have our customer test area where we have all our robotics. So not only can we display what they can do and everything we have available, but if you have something that you wanted to test, for example, can this robot put a lid on a bottle for 5 hours.
Yeah.
You can bring in your bottle and your lid, and we will test it for you with our robots. And then we've just recently opened our Iguverse Centre, which is basically a VR virtual reality experience where you can immerse yourself in Igus products and different rooms, and it allows you not only to obviously see the products up close and personal, make them larger, smaller, but also test products in your machine. We can import your CAD model or a 3D scan of your machine into the virtual reality with Igus parts, and you can actually test it and see how they would work in there. So
it's amazing.
It's fun, but also practical.
Like, are you using that now for like real test cases? I know you mentioned like oil and gas industry, so presumably that is a better way to try something than, you know, shipping it out to the great oceans on an oil rig.
Yeah, it's a lot safer as well. No health and safety.
Well, you can jump off the top. I did do that.
Yes, yeah, you can. Yeah, definitely. I know that obviously we're a subsidiary of Germany, so Germany have got quite a few customer examples now, which we're allowed to show. We're yet to get one in the UK yet, where someone's actually kind of put their machine in or their application in. But more and more people are showing interest, which I didn't expect people would, to be honest. But once you come down and see it and you realise, oh, okay, this would be so much easier if I could do it like this. We've definitely had a lot of interest recently. Even theatre and stage technology, rather than investing in big, you know, cameras that go around or big lighting, things like that. You can come and test it first with us. And like you said, oil and gas is such a save. So. Yeah,
no, amazing. It's a great experience. Highly recommend it. Actually, coming to the end of the episode now. It's been absolutely whistled by, actually. But thank you, firstly, so much for coming, making the effort to come all the way down. It's much appreciated. But for those that like want to connect with you or follow your journey, where's the best place to find you?
So I'm on LinkedIn. I would say that's probably the best place, just Ashleigh Boyce. And then obviously Igus is on LinkedIn as well, and that's where we post a lot of our updates and things like that. Cool.
We'll share all of those links in the description, so for those. But yeah, thank you very much for joining us on the Engine Room.
All right, thank you for having me.